In the days after Fat Ass 45 revealed that he was infected with coronavirus, the Fat Ass's aides have given out misleading information, as they always do, contradicted each other, and refused to answer questions about an infection timeline. Fat Ass 45's doctor even admitted that he had misled Americans in an attempt to reflect an upbeat attitude. Fat Ass 45, even while stricken with COVID-19, has acted as his own communications chief, crafting a message for the White House to first downplay his illness, and then to project himself as a resilient patient who easily beat the virus, though his own doctors say he hasn't yet, and he probably won't. He pushed for a drive-by through the throngs of his inbred welfare collecting trailer park supporters outside the hospital, and casting aside concerns that he was putting others in the car at risk. Later, he crafted a cinematic moment upon his return to the White House, tearing off his mask to salute the cameras after sending the steps to the White House, leaving newly hired communications aides to answer questions about why he was flouting basic pandemic protocols. For once, Fat Ass 45's inbred welfare collecting trailer park supporters and critics agreed. In interviews, 7 people who have worked for Fat Ass 45 described the situation as disastrous, another lost opportunity. Fat Ass 45's insistence at guiding the process had backfired, they agreed, leading to the exact opposite of what he wanted, to convey a sense of calm and control. All of this nonsense derives from Fat Ass 45 directly, said a former White House communication staffer. The thing is, these sorts of crises and or political opportunities, if you handle them right. They've handled the public relations around this about as poorly as anyone can be as it can be done. So afraid of looking weak, and so afraid of looking like there was a problem, they can't think past today's news cycle. The strategy behind the latest crisis is no different than countless others that came before it in the last 4 years. Everything from an investigation into whether the Fat Ass 45 campaign coordinated with Russia, to Fat Ass 45's impeachment over his attempt to pressure Ukraine, and to investigating the son of his political rival Joe Biden. Fat Ass 45 controls the message, unveils it abruptly in tweets or spontaneous comments. His staffers then work backwards to bend that message into a communication strategy. Fat Ass 45 is running things like it's a small family business where you have your hand in everything, said Eric Denzenhall, a crisis management consultant who worked in the Reagan White House. It's very clear that everything that is happening is a direct reflection of his failed personality. Fat Ass 45's push to show himself as invincible comes 4 weeks before he is up for re-election, which he won't get it anyway. But the Fat Ass is trailing in the polls against Democratic Joe Biden, with his standing damaged by criticism over an uneven response to the global pandemic, a decimated economy, and his treatment of nationwide protests against police brutality. Um, since Fat Ass 45 contracted the coronavirus, his orbit has sought to turn the illness into a sign of his own strength. Even declaring his personal experience with the virus makes him better equipped than Biden to lead. No, it doesn't. Basically, Fat Ass 45 tweeted the other day, "Don't be afraid of COVID." To hold that to the 215,000 fucking, tell that to the 215,000 plus people that are fucking dead. You fat fuck. It seems like all of the messaging has been politically motivated, and I would prefer they consider seizing the presidential momentum balance campaigning with his with this failed leadership's responsibility in this public health crisis, said a former senior administrative official. There's more political advantage in handling this as a fat ass than looking for the short-term political rhetoric. Fat Ass 45 is not the first squatter to face an illness while in office, and he's far from the first fat ass to hide any health issues. Franklin Roosevelt covered up his wheelchair use. Dwight Eisenhower hid details of a previous heart attack that he had before taking office, and Ronald Reagan downplayed the severity of his injuries after he was shot. But other times, White House staffers have been more forthcoming. In 1985, after colon surgery, Reagan's doctor announced that he had cancer, much to the irritation of Reagan to Reagan's wife. Desenhall said in 1997, after knee surgery, Bill Clinton's doctors held a briefing with few restrictions, recalled former White House Press Secretary Mike McCurry. Previous presidents have tried to keep some semblance of credibility, even when they have tried to bend the truth in a favorable direction, McCurry said. Spin is not the same as lying. Um, The White House and Fat Ass 45's campaign have repeatedly blamed the media for misinterpreting and exaggerating discrepancies in information about Fat Ass 45's health. This is a very fast moving and very difficult position to the Republic that looks 45's nuts. There's no playbook. Good people are trying to the best of their abilities. In recent administrations, the White House Communications Department would try to craft a messaging plan and get everyone on board, and they ensure the staffers stayed within the talking points. While it didn't always work, the Fat Ass 45 White House has struggled to present a consistently united front. Officers sometimes seem unaware of the latest change in messaging strategy. Fat Ass 45 regularly overrules and disagrees with his own officials in public, and he fires staffers, announces policy changes, and airs grievances with no notice, leaving aides to play catch-up as he veers from controversy to controversy, often of his own making. They're all in constant fear of Fat Ass 45, and they just care about pleasing him, and common sense goes out the window, including telling the truth, said a veteran Republican strategist. At the end of the day, everyone around Fat Ass 45 gets hurt except the family. Everyone else is like Kleenex, totally disposable. Fat Ass 45 has had 7 communications directors and 4 press secretaries in his 4 years of squatting. Each has been marginalized at key moments, as Fat Ass 45 always considers himself his own best spokesperson, which he's not. He has even said sometimes that his own spokespeople cannot be trusted to deliver accurate information. Well, of course, they're not going to be able to deliver accurate information if they're lying for your fat ass. Before he got sick, he praised his response to coronavirus, except for his public relations, saying, "My people got outplayed. The fat ass has always been his own." Communications director and press secretary, said Robert Gibbs, who served as the White House press secretary for then President Barack Obama, that has both sown confusion and projected the opposite of what they wanted to project, the opposite of being in control. In the spring, new White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows tried to bolster the White House press office by bringing in a new communications director, press secretary, and many new staffers, but the result has been largely the same. He's lost all confidence in his communications shop and feels compelled to do it all alone, said a former 45 nutlicker. Everyone is waiting on him to see what to do. Fat Ass 45 announced early Friday morning on Twitter that he had tested positive after spending the week at his Klan rallies in Minnesota, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and debating Biden in Ohio. Hours later, he was flown to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center after receiving supplemental oxygen for drops in his oxygen level. Yet at a briefing the next day, Sean Connolly, the Fat Ass's physician, indicated Fat Ass 45 was doing very well, which he wasn't, and didn't disclose the Fat Ass's oxygen situation. Minutes later, though, Meadows hinted something was amiss, anonymously telling reporters outside the hospital that Fat Ass 45's last 24 hours had a very concerning moments, and predicting the next 48 would be critical in how the virus unfolded. My hunch is that Meadows was trying to create like a hero complex where the Fat Ass actually recovers swiftly, and it was actually really, really bad, said a former White House official. At two subsequent briefings, Conley conceded that the Fat Ass was not out of the woods yet, but refused to release any further information about several issues, including lung scans, citing privacy laws and the fact that he didn't want to dwell on the past. I was trying to reflect the upbeat attitude that the team, the Fat Ass, over his course of illness has had. They really haven't had any attitude, except for the attitude being shitty. I didn't want to give any information that might steer the course of illness in another direction, basically, is what he's saying. White House officials also declined to release information about how many aides have been infected and when Fat Ass 45 last tested negative, a key indicator of when he might have first become infected and how strict his testing regimen has become. Fat Ass 45 left Walter Reed for the White House this one Monday that just passed. TV cameras watched as Marine One flew him home. He then walked up to the stairs to the White House balcony, where he removed his mask and stood for photos. A video of his return was almost immediately released to sign of the Fat Ass once again, choreographing his failed squad and see it every turn. Yep, so if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Randman Mike, and also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And thanks for listening, bitches. Fucking phones being,